Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Kiana and today I'm going to be doing a July wrap up. I was actually really surprised because this month I was in a reading slump, but somehow towards the end I was able to like pull it out a little bit. I think I read like 10 or 11 books this month, so yeah. One of them was a picture book, I will admit, but it was really good. So yeah, I'm about to pop open my Goodreads so I can make sure I remember everything. Also, this month I got to 64 books, which is already past my reading goal. My reading goal is to read 40 books this year, and so far I've read 64 books. So I'm really excited. I'm a lot farther ahead than I anticipated. So yes. So let's just get started and start talking about the book. The first book I'm going to talk about is The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. This has to be my absolute most favorite book this month because the writing was just so beautiful. This plot was just amazing. Everything about this book was just stellar. I do have to tell you though that this book is very sad, and a big trigger warning on sexual assault because that is a common theme throughout the book. So just remember that. Make sure you're in the right headspace to be able to read something like this. But I loved it. The only thing that was rough is it felt like nothing happy ever happened very often, at least. It's a mostly just sad book, but it feels like it almost reflects how life is, you know, because sometimes books have like perfect endings and it feels like life isn't like that sometimes. So that's how I felt about this. This book follows multiple storylines, kind of like multiple people, but they're all connected, which makes everything even a little more sad, I feel like. But it deals with topics such as what it's like growing up as a Black child, how looking at your white counterparts and how they're praised make you feel that you should be more like them or look more like them in order to be loved or to seem attractive. And so that happens a lot within this book, which I thought was so beautiful. I enjoyed this book so much. Okay, so the next book we're going to talk about is the one picture book that I read this month, which is this bad boy right here. Was it Solwi? I don't know how you say that. Probably should have looked it up before I did this video, but I didn't. I'm sorry. This is a picture book. It deals... Do I need to keep holding this the whole time? No, probably not. It deals with this young girl. Very young. I don't know, like 5. I'm not really sure. And it talks about her experience with being raised by parents that are lighter than her. They're still Black, they're just like the lighter shade, and so is her sister, and she sees the different ways that they're treated versus how she's treated, and they use examples such as like pet names or something like that. And hold on, sorry, I had to go close my door because my mom is being loud. Oh well, you know, her house, whatever. And it talks about what was it talking about? Pet names. Her sister gets pet names at school. She feels like she's complimented more than she is. And so she prays that she looks more like her sister, that she wakes up lighter, she wakes up looking different, which reminded me a little bit of The Bluest Eye. Just not as dark because it doesn't get into things like that because it's a kid's book. But I thought it was such a good story. And throughout the book, it's just like about accepting herself as well as accepting her sister for how she looks versus how she looks. Wait, does that make sense? Oof. What was I trying to say there? Accepting both the darker shades of Black as well as accepting the lighter shades, but mostly about accepting the darker shades because that's usually the shades that are not appreciated as much. So I really liked it. I don't know how much a child would like that. I don't know how much they would get it, but maybe they would really get it. I don't know because I'm not a child, so I can't tell you. But okay guys, let's talk about our last ebook so that I can stop pulling up pictures on my phone. The last ebook we're going to talk about, okay, we're struggling. This book, Why Storms Are Named After People and Bullets Remain Nameless, poems by Tanya Winder. Tanea, I don't know how to say this name. Why do I struggle? Anyway, this is a poetry collection that I actually really enjoyed. I really enjoyed it because it talks about, she talks about her experience as a Native American woman through poetry, and I thought it was absolutely beautiful. It was really well done. I loved hearing this perspective. I think in the book community, I feel like sometimes Native American perspectives are not mentioned as often as they should be. So I went out and found this book. I looked up, what is it called? I looked up books written by Native Americans, and there's actually a lot of websites to find things like this, you guys. So if you're like, I don't know any books, just go ahead and look it up, because that's what I did. So yeah, definitely really enjoyed that. Recommend that poetry book a lot because it's really beautiful, and I love how a lot of the poems were actually long. What I found, or on my iPad they look long, but I'm thinking they're long. Longer poetry I love, because sometimes with this new poetry it's like short, like 2 sentences, which is fine, but when there's like a whole book of like 2 sentences, or I guess sentences, lines, 2 lines, I'm like, I spent money on you, girl. You could have posted that on Instagram. But that book was not like that. Definitely recommend. Okay, the next book we're going to talk about is Beowulf. I finally read Beowulf. I had bought this at a bookstore, and the dude there who was scanning up my stuff said that Beowulf was amazing. I was like, dude, calm down. I'm sure it'll be fine. It's probably not gonna be amazing. I'm not just saying this book was pretty amazing. I think I gave it a 4-star. I did give it a 4-star because this book was so action-packed. I felt like I was on an adventure. I really enjoyed it, even though I was like, I don't know if I like Beowulf like that, but like, he's a really good dude, you know what I'm saying? You'll appreciate him. He's humble. Teaches about being humble even when we're successful, and I'm like, okay, can't relate, but okay. But I did really enjoy this book. It was really interesting. I was invested the whole time. I actually cared about the characters in this, which is just key, because sometimes in older literature I don't care about the characters because it's more plot driven sometimes than character driven, but this book is definitely character and pretty much plot driven, I guess. But I really enjoyed this book, or epic poetry. This is poetry, apparently. Wait, am I making sense? I really did enjoy this book. It was super good, definitely entertaining, and I give it a 4 out of 5. Okay, so now we're going to talk about City of Ashes, book 2 of the City of Bone, the Mortal Instruments series. There we go. I had attempted to begin this like 2 months ago, and I just didn't ever continue because I just wasn't really in the mood for this type of book at the time. But this month I decided it's time to finish her up, so I did. And I gave this a 3-star. I actually love this book. This had probably the potential to be a 4-star, but there's just some parts that didn't really settle with me well, you know? Because this book, this is gonna be spoilers. So if you've never read this, okay, just skip. But let's talk about this. I loved everything. I thought the development of some of the characters we met before and how they are now is so interesting. Like Alec, did I say his name? Alec? His character has developed so much better than the first book. He's so amazing now. So has Magnus, really loving him, really enjoying his company, really funny, really great dude, useful. What's Alex's sister's name? Isabella. You know who we're talking about. She's become super great. We're learning more about the world of Shadowhunter. It's great, loving it. Now, let's talk about Clary, okay? Let's talk about Clary and Jace's relationship. I actually like Jace better in this book than I liked him in the last book, but I still had an issue. Their relationship is so strange. If you thought somebody, and people have already spoiled the series to me, okay? So, I'm aware that they're not like siblings, right? Yeah, right. But throughout this whole book, you're thinking that they're siblings, unless someone lied to me. They're not siblings. I don't think this would, no, yeah, they're not siblings. But, going through this whole book and then thinking that they're siblings, but then still having like this really weird reaction to each other is just so hard. It's just so hard. I understand you can't just like destroy feelings, but I need them to like destroy their feelings. Like if you thought someone was like your sibling, you'd probably try to destroy this. No. It's, I don't know, maybe I'm just like a little uncomfy because I've never seen an author, in my experience, attempt to make this work, you know what I'm saying? So I feel a little uncomfy, and this is just so weird to me. But maybe I just will never understand how they're feeling because I would never run into, I don't think this would ever happen to me, but my goodness, this book is a little traumatizing in that aspect, but everything else is amazing. Like this could have easily probably been like a 4, maybe a 5-star book if that part didn't like bother me so much. But I probably should just let it go, right? I don't know. Okay, let's talk about a book that's a reread for me. It's a Maya Angelou book, and it's The Complete Collected Poems of Maya Angelou. I read this either a year or two ago, and I loved it, and I gave it a 5 out of 5. So I reread it, and I still loved it. And I gave it a 5 out of 5. I'd probably rank it even higher if I could, because it's better than the first time I even read it. I enjoyed it so much. I find like there's poems from the last time that I really appreciated, but I appreciated some other poems I didn't like as much before, even more this time. So I think that's amazing. My understanding for things is obviously expanding, because some poetry I think confused me last time. I really understood this time, so like I'm getting smarter up here. Woo woo. All right, we're back, and we got King Lear. I gave this a 4 out of 5 on Goodreads because this play was so good. I think this is one of my new favorite Shakespeare plays, probably, because she was funny, she was quirky, she was high intensity, a lot of action, a lot of stressful situations. We loved her. She was great. I love Shakespeare plays. I think they're really interesting, super entertaining, but this was a little different. Maybe it's because I never read this before, so I didn't know what to expect. Like, I've never heard anyone talk about this in my experience. I've never knew anything about this book. I know nothing about this going in, so I think that made it a little more interesting, to be honest, because so many of the other Shakespeare plays I've read, I've either read it with classes, like in class, or which I think can ruin books sometimes. Sometimes it can help a book, sometimes it can ruin it. I think for plays it kind of ruins it, because I don't need my teacher telling me what to do. Okay. Where was going, and never hearing about it, I don't get other people's opinions, so I just go in here kind of blind. And I love this book. I didn't know what was gonna happen. I really enjoyed it, and chef's kiss, you know what I'm saying? I definitely recommend this Shakespeare play. If you've never read King Lear, go ahead and hop on this and go ahead and enjoy this book. Now let's talk about some young people books I read. I read book 5 of a series of unfortunate events, Her, and then book 6 of a series of unfortunate events. I'm trying to finish up the series this year, and it's looking good. No, not really, but I am trying to finish it. I don't know if I will, because I still don't own book 2, and I don't own book 3 or 4. So yeah, I skipped those books, but I've read those books before, so I didn't really miss out on anything. But oh, I read these again, and it was so great. I read this right after The Bluest Eye. I read it right after I was done finishing that. Not right after. I waited like a week and then I started this, and this helped get me out of my reading slump. I tried to start mini books after The Bluest Eye, and I could not get into any of them, and then I read these and I got out of my reading slump, because these are dark and they're sad when you think about it. They were not as sad as The Bluest Eye, so it got me out of a dark time, so I'm happy about those. I also read Coraline. I'm so excited about having read this again. I read it in middle school, and I wasn't sure if I remembered everything, but I did. I remembered everything. Clear as day. Super cute. This book is short, but it's so beautiful, and it's just amazing. And there's this part where the cat explains why cats don't have names, and I'm just obsessed with this. Just obsessed. I'm not surprised that I still love this book, because I still love the movie. Although the movie differs from the book, obviously, because that's what movies do. They're close enough where we feel comfortable, and the changes that were made in the movie were good changes, and I actually liked it a lot. So, definitely recommend reading this book. Super cute, beautiful. Okay, guys, we're on our last book. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I feel like I'm missing a book, but I don't know what that book would be. So maybe I'm not missing a book. I don't know. It doesn't matter, because I've already announced that this is the last book. So this is the last book, which is Lolita. Ooh, this book made me uncomfy. Let's talk about that. This book follows a man. His name's like Herbert or something. I can't remember. I don't remember his name. And he's a pedophile. Through and through. Just a pedophile. The first time he ever fell in love where it was age appropriate, when he was like 12 or something, okay? That was the last time, I think. I don't know how old he was, actually. It could have been wrong. I don't know. Anyway, I know I'm struggling because I didn't really like this book. He's a pedophile through and through. Likes little girls. Super gross. Marries somebody in order to get to their daughter, and it's just a whole roller coaster of him kidnapping and sexually assaulting a child. That's it. Nothing else exciting really happens except for this. And the writing is beautiful. Really well done. Super, I enjoyed it. I would like to read more books by this author where hopefully the topics aren't like Lolita, because I had a hard time getting through this book because I was like, this is just so disturbing. I think the biggest thing that made this book disturbing was the fact that I feel like in pop culture, we make this book almost seem cute. You know what I'm saying? That's probably not the right word for it. There's like a whole... Anyway, we'll just say people sometimes act like this book is cute, and it's not. I think sometimes people that fetishize this book, which is really just like disturbing and mostly concerning that so many people fetishize this book, because this is about a child predator, a rapist, a molester, and yet people make it seem like this is cute, and I don't like it. And I think that's what made this book harder to get through, was because people just made it seem like this was okay kind of thing, and it's not okay. I'm telling you this right now. Before you read this, just go on it knowing that this follows a bad guy who tries to justify his doings, and apparently his justifications made people who read this book think it was okay. I'm not quite sure, but he justifies himself a lot throughout this book. Towards the end, not so much, but he still justifies himself, and maybe that's why people like this book. I'm not really sure. The writing is beautiful. I think that if I was just grading the writing itself, I'd probably give it a 5-star, but because we're talking about the plot line and the enjoyability of this book, I'm gonna go ahead and just give this book a 3 out of 5 stars, because although I thought the writing was great, it just wasn't something that I'm really into reading. But I think everyone should give it a go at some point in their life, but I really think you need to go in there knowing that this is wrong, and only read this book if you're in the right headspace. If you're not in the right headspace, I definitely don't recommend reading this, because there's definitely a lot of trigger warnings on here. It deals with obviously sexual assault, but it also deals with he gets put in the mental institutions a couple times, so it deals with those things. I don't think they were really graphic about those parts. I don't think that they were. But I can't remember too well because I started this book like 3 months ago, so sorry, and I just finished it. But so just warning on those things, but definitely when you go in to read this, please just know that this book is meant to show you what is wrong with pedophilia, that pedophiles are wrong. It's supposed to get in the head of a pedophile, and that's why there's justifications in here. It's not to tell you that pedophilia is right. If that was the goal of this writer, I'm a little concerned, but I don't really think that was his goal, was to make you think this was okay. So that's my spiel on that. I could go on forever about that book because it was just made me uncomfortable. Alright, you guys, so that's it for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, please give it a big thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, it means the world for me if you subscribe to this channel. And I hope you guys have a blessed rest of your day, a blessed rest of your week, and make sure kind of every soul and book you may need. Deuces.